world's very strange at this moment. I call it doom world. Everybody's waiting for the other shoe to drop. You can just feel it. Me? I'm post-doom. I doom spent until the credit dried up and blew away. And then I doom scrolled until I learned everything I wanted to know. Way more than I wanted to know, actually. I doom worked in a doom industry until I didn't. But now I'm post-doom. My life has been stripped bare, and it's quite freeing. From childhood until spring of this year, I've been in relationships with avoidant women. I seem to attract avoidant women. And of course, I don't have any skills to deal with it because I'm avoidant myself, honestly. But I find myself with no relationship at this point. My life is literally stripped bare. Kind of cool. I'll tell you why. So we're approaching the great, whatever is going to happen. Here I am alone. But, I'm really not alone at all. So I find myself at 68. My life bare. It's nobody's fault. I doom spent in my 20s. I doom spent in my 30s. I grew up in a household where my parents had lived through the Depression. I guess I was insane with as to money. I don't know, or maybe totally sane. I didn't do all the things that boomers were supposed to do. I didn't get the IRA. I don't have one. Houses came and went. I don't have a house at this point. So basically, I'm post-doom. Whatever happens is probably not going to affect me. It really isn't. And I noticed that my post-doom connections are less and less with the human world. And I'm more and more connected to let's call the non-human world. There's like this interactive frequency buzzing around me. And it's always been there, but I generally have chosen not to acknowledge it. But lately, I hear the ancestors talking, and I'm listening. Doom world out there is getting kind of long in the tooth. You can sense the end, but you know what? You can also sense the beginning. Whatever that force was inside of me that's sort of driven me to take myself down to zero has been interesting. I've cleared all the vestiges of doom world at this point. And I think I'm capable of moving to the next phase. And, it's funny. Of course I care that, the best leaders we can find here are like an aging mafia don and this cackling harebrain. But it's really not anything I can do anything about. I don't want to say it's not my problem, but in a real sense, it's not my problem. I mean, there's nothing I can really do. Unless I choose to get in the race and hard pass on that. I don't want to be involved in politics. So basically I sit here and watch with the detachment of a monk. Ernest Hemingway said he went bankrupt slowly at first and then all at once. I totally get that. This post-doom thing I'm talking about, I went post-doom slowly at first and then all at once. I was in the universities back in the 70s and 80s. I finished an MBA actually in 1985 and then spent the next almost 40 years doing things I really didn't want to do. I was doing a profession that didn't really interest me very much. Being a parent was great, but it was financially difficult. It was spiritually difficult. It was socially difficult. The moms, we got along, but they were avoidant types, and like I said, I'm an avoidant type, so the relationships were never that close. So I was, I faked it. Was I miserable? I wasn't miserable exactly, but I wasn't happy. I went through the motions. I did a lot of going through the motions, getting on planes, going to God knows where to do God knows what. It's all a blur at this point. But, even then I sensed the presence of the non-human world, but I didn't really deal with it. I keep talking about that because it's kind of important. It's what's kind of moving me through this phase, actually. So I doom scrolled my way through the doom world for decades. And then all at once it just happened about early in this year. the last avoidant relationship ended in a flurry of drama. Taillights. So I sat on my southern veranda here in northeast Georgia, wondered what I just witnessed. And then the sky lifted. It's funny, I find myself at this point, I'm a little sad, but I'm not saddened. I'm certainly broke, but I'm certainly not broken. Wandering a bit? Yeah, maybe, but I'm not lost. I cut up all the credit cards because they're useless. They let them have the car. I've kept my little cabin back here in the woods, but the cabin and the utilities are about 85% of my total income right this minute. But I don't really want to go back to work. I'm post-doom. I don't want to go back to doing doom work. I'm going to do other things. I do a lot of things that I like to do now. You know, it's funny, through all the time, through all these decades, I've kind of wondered, you know, what's the purpose of all this? What is the point of this life? Is it a university? Are we here to learn? Are we simply reproducing? You know, I don't know. Is there existential darkness at the end of all this? I've kind of come to the conclusion that that this is a carnival. I think this is a soul vacation. I think we live in these larger souls that these bodies are just sort of vehicles here in space-time. And I think what we're doing is we're just taking a vacation here. But boy, what a fucking vacation. we chose the roller coaster ride. But you know, what I have noticed is that the ambient sadness that I lived with is gone. I assumed for years that was just sort of the background frequency of living on planet Earth, but it turns out it's not. I am strangely happy with less and less that I have, and I have literally taken myself down to zero. I'm happier. I'm happier than I've ever been. The anxiety is, there's just the base anxiety of living is just not there anymore. I don't feel it. I'm post-doom. Naked, free. It's bizarre and wonderful. I'm sure the kids think I'm crazy, but, you know, I'm equally sure that I don't really care anymore. I love them dearly, but, you know, they're on their own. They're big kids. And it's too bad I had to get to be 68 years old before I figured all this out. And certainly none of this suggests that there aren't still weird, anxious moments. Yeah, of course there are. But the fog is lifted, which is great. I find joy where I never would have expected it before. I walk to the grocery store. It's joyous. I chase the deer out of the garden every day because the deer eat everything. But, you know, the deer kind of like it. I think they have fun with me chasing them around, and I like it. I find joy in it. I find joy listening to the hoot owl at the end of the day. Or, I sit on the porch at the dusk. One of the great joys of my life is not answering the telephone anymore, I got to tell you. So where am I going with all this? Well, you know, I'm kind of documenting the pivotal moment in my life when I won the fight by ceasing to fight. I think there's some acorns in this story that I think I want to share with everybody else. What would I tell you if somebody asked me? I would say, well, it takes bravery and courage. Or maybe just reckless stupidity to become post-doom. You got to be out of fucks to give, that's for sure. You have to be willing to say no where your whole life you've said yes. So I guess the long and short of it is I can't really recommend it to everyone, but if you have the ability and the opportunity to become post-doom, I highly recommend it.